Good morning, dear students. So, this is going to be your fourth chapter, that is business services or service sector and business. So, nature of services. Before starting this nature of services, let me tell you what is business service. So, business service means those services which help in running the business, which help in the successful running of the business. Let's take an example like transport. Transport, it helps in trading the goods from one place to another. Then communication, banking, warehousing, all these things helps in the successful running of business. And without these elements, they are totally incomplete. Okay, so all the services which are required to run the business effectively, they are business services. So business cannot be even imagined without these services. So with the growing scale of business, the need and the importance of these services are increasing. Understood? Now, if we talk about nature of services, the nature of services or the basic features of services can be understood by 5 I's. 5 I's of services. Now, what are these 5 I's? They are intangibility, inconsistency, inseparability, inventory, and involvement. Okay, so let's do it. Let's learn about these in brief. So first is intangible. Intangible means it has no physical existence, cannot be touched. Okay, so services, you all know that these have no physical existence. Okay, like one cannot touch or taste a doctor's treatment. It can be felt, but it cannot be touched or it cannot be tasted. So that is intangible. The next is inconsistency. Inconsistency means as services, they are intangible and they have to be performed exclusively each time. So different customers, they have the different requirements and the expectations. If we take an example, a doctor provides different treatment to each and every patient depending upon his problem. It's not like that he is giving an injection of malaria to each and everyone. Okay, so inconsistent means it's not same. The services are not going to be same for each and every one. Then inseparability, it cannot be separated. For example, for goods, you can say that if it has to be consumed, anyone can bring it for you and you can consume it. But if you want to feel the services, you yourself have to be there for getting the services. Okay, it cannot be separated from the providers and the sellers. Then no inventory. No inventory. Inventory means stock. Okay, it cannot be stored as a stock. The services cannot be stored as the goods can be stored. Services are perishable and have to be performed as and when required. Then involvement, participation of the customer in the service delivery process is must. That means involvement of customer is necessary for the delivery of services. Okay, doctor can provide the treatment only when the patient is available, not in his absence. So these were some of the features or 5 I's of the services. Then differences between services and goods. So we'll be talking about these differences on these 5 bases only: intangible, inconsistent, inseparable, inventory, and involvement. So the first thing, the meaning: goods are physical object, services are just a process. Services are intangible, goods are tangible. They can be touched, they can be tasted, everything. Inconsistent, consistent. All the customers, they get the same type of product, but services, it cannot be same for each and every customer. Services are inseparable, goods are separable. Services, no inventory, goods has to be stored as inventory. Got it? So these were some of the differences between goods and services. Then comes types of services. So these types of services, they are basically classified into 3 categories: business, social, and personal services. So business services, which are used by the business enterprise, like banking, insurance, warehousing, all those 5 auxiliaries trade, including communication, advertising, everything. Okay. Then social services, which are provided to fulfill the certain goals. These may be to improve the standard of living for the weaker section especially. Okay, then to provide educational services to their children, to provide health facilities. And then personal services, they are those services which are experienced differently by the different customers. Okay, these services that cannot be consistent in nature. Then business services. Now we'll be talking about the main types of services. So the first one is banking. First basic business service is banking. So a bank, you all know, it deals with money. It receives the deposits from the public, and then what it does, it lends the money to those who are in the need of it. Okay, so the rate of interest, after that, the rate of interest is charged by the bank on the loans, which is generally higher than the rate offered on its deposits. That means when you are depositing it, there you are not going to get more interest as compared to when you are taking the loan from the bank. And then other than that, it also performs various other services like issue of letter of credit, collecting credit information, custody, all those. Then comes types of banks. So this we have studied now, banks. Now we'll be doing types of banks. So the first one is commercial, then cooperative, specialized, and central. So let's start with the commercial banks. Commercial banks, they help in providing the finance and the financial services to business and commerce. Okay, they usually provide short to medium term loan. Keep this in mind. They usually provide medium and short term loan. So these are established and managed under Indian Banking Companies Act 1949. Indian Banking Companies Act or Indian Banking Regulation Act. Got it? So what are the types of commercial bank? Like public sector, private sector, foreign bank, all those. See, public sector and private sector banks. So public sector banks, they are owned and controlled by whom? By the government. And they have dominated the Indian banking system over the 3 decades. And the example of such banks are Punjab National Bank, Allahabad Bank, SBI, Canara Bank, all those. Then comes private sector banks. So they are owned, managed and controlled by whom? By the private promoters. And they are free to formulate their own policies about the activities of the means as per the requirement of the market. And what can be the example of it? HDFC, ICICI, IDBI, Federal Bank, all this. Okay. Just read it once. Second main bank after public bank, this commercial bank, is cooperative banks. So these banks help in providing the short-term loans to the agricultural sector. Okay, and they have played very appreciable role in rescuing the Indian farmers from the exploitations of Mahajans, etc., money lenders, like the Kerala Cooperative Societies. Then specialized bank. After cooperative bank, the next bank is specialized bank. As the name is only suggesting, they are rendering the special services to the public, like foreign exchange, industrial bank, EXIM, all those. Then central banks, they are Bankers Bank, and Bankers Bank of India is RBI. Then controls and regulates the operations of all the commercial banks. They are government and bankers to the government and controls the currency and credit policy of the country. And the central bank of our country, it was established in 1935. Keep all these points, important points in mind. Got it? Then, after meaning and the types of bank, it comes functions of bank. Functions of bank, it is divided into 2, primary functions and secondary functions. So the primary functions, the first one is accepting deposits. You all know that bank accepts the deposits from the public, and that is the basic function. It gets the deposits of money from different people, and keeping in view the interest of people and their convenience, it accepts the following types of deposits. Now what are the types of deposits which it accepts? is fixed deposit account, saving bank account, current account, recurring account, and multiple choice, multiple option deposit account. Then the next function is lending of funds, okay, or to give the loans. The second foremost function is to provide the loans to the people, those who are in need. So they do not give loan only in cash. Okay, they do not give loan in cash. They allow the loan holder to withdraw money up to a fixed limit and whenever and as it is required. Understood. Then comes secondary function. It includes agency services and utility services, and they are offered to the customers, and general utility services to the public. Like first one is check facility. Check facility, you all know what is check. What do they do here? They provide them with the check, okay, like cross check, bearer check. Collection of check, it is an important services provided by the banks to customers. Means whenever they want to withdraw the money from the bank, they can use the checks. Then remittance of fund. Transfer of funds from one account to another is made possible by issuing DD, that is demand draft. Okay, easily you can transfer your money from one account to another. The banks, they provide a valuable service for means transferring from one place to another throughout the world, and the person who wants to send the money to someone at other place will buy the draft, that is demand draft, from the bank by paying the nominal commission. And in case the money is payable locally, the bank can issue the pay orders or the banker's check. Then allied services, or you can say other services which are provided by them. So it includes payment of insurance, premium, telephone charges, etc. All these payments can, other services and other type of payments can also be done through bank. Then comes e-banking. So now you have studied about banking, and after that it comes e-banking or electronic banking. So all of you know about what is electronic banking, how the transactions are done. Transactions are done online. Whatever transactions they are doing, they are done online. Whatever services are provided, they are provided online. First is ATM, that is automated teller machine. So you all know about this. What do they do with ATM? He can withdraw the money. The withdrawer can withdraw the money means up to the certain limit. Okay. Then EFT, that is electronic fund transfer. So EFT, it enables the employers to transfer salaries or wages. What can be done here? The salaries or wages directly from the company bank account to the employees' bank accounts are transferred. Then comes point of sale or POS. Okay, you have seen these, you might have seen this. So here what can you do? You can buy the things and just pay by the cards. Then EDI, electronic data interchange, like Paytm. Paytm is an example of this. And credit cards, benefits of e-banking. Anytime service. Whenever you are in the need of money, what you can do, you can withdraw the money online or you can transfer the money. Anywhere banking creates financial discipline, less risk and greater security. Everywhere you can't roam around with a lot of money with you here. Okay, so it's easy to carry it online. Workload on branches reduced. There won't be such lines, there won't be such queues for getting the money. At home only, you can stay back at home and get the money. The next one after banking is insurance. So insurance, it is the main, after means business services, insurance is the main service. So let's talk about insurance. Contract where one party is insurer, another party is insured. Insurer, now who is the insurer here? The insurance company is the insurer. Insured is the person who is taking the insurance. Okay, now it is a medium. Insurance, if we talk about insurance is a medium through which economic losses can be minimized. economic losses can be minimized. So, every trader, he gets rid of risk by paying a small amount of money. Whosoever is taking the insurance, he has to pay the small amount of money, single or a periodical payment called the premium. Okay. So the insurance companies, they create a common pool by collecting the smaller amount of premiums from the number of such employees, and this amount is used to cover the risk. It is not only used to cover the risk which will be faced by the insured, but also for meeting the expenses, administrative expenses of the company or of the individual. So if we talk about insurance, it is a technique which distributes the risk of one person among many. Okay. Let's see. These are some of the terms which are related to insurance. Insurer, insured, premium, indemnity, subject matter, policy and contract. Functions of insurance. Providing certainty. Certainty means here they are provided certainty, means the insured, they are provided certainty that in case they will face with the loss, they will suffer with the losses, that will be covered by an insurance company. Protection, they provide them protection against the losses. Okay. It is the major benefit which they get. Risk sharing, risk is shared among all the policy holders. Assist in capital formation. So by getting various means, by getting the premium from various persons, the insurance company do, they create their own capital. Now, the principles of insurance. So the principle of insurance, first one is principle of utmost good faith. So the insurance, the contract of insurance, it directly depends upon the mutual confidence in the good faith. Okay. That means both the parties, they should not conceal any irrelevant information. Okay, understood. And if anyone will be found guilty of such, if for example a person while getting his godown insured does not inform the insurance company that there is a petrol pump nearby the godown, okay, or any person getting his life insured does not tell about the existence of a TB patient in his family, in such type of situations what will happen? The insurance company comes to know about these informations, cancels the insurance policies. That means both the parties, the insurer and the insured, should disclose each and everything about their means the contract. Then insurable interest. Then it is necessary for a valid insurance contract that the insured, he must have insurable interest in the property. He should have the interest in the property. Okay. It means that in the event of damage to the property, concerned person has to face the economic losses. He must be so situated with regard that the things he would have been benefit from its existence and loss from its destructions. Then indemnity, principle of indemnity. So it is applicable to all the types of insurance except life insurance. Okay, except life insurance. It is to restrict the amount of claim to actual loss only. Let's take an example for this. For example, goods worth rupees 20,000 are insured for 25,000. The maximum claim payable cannot be more than 25,000. Okay. Whereas if the goods worth rupees 25,000 are insured for 20,000, then again the amount of claim cannot exceed 20,000. And as I said, it is not applicable in life insurance. That means in each and every insurance they are trying to cover the losses. But in case of life insurance, if somebody will die, that cannot be recovered. The amount can be given, the life cannot be bring back. And causa proxima or proximate cause. Okay. For whatever the insurance company is giving insurance, or whatever the insured is taking the insurance, it should have a proximate cause. The loss should have a proximate cost. And the closest and the most prominent reason among all that determines the payment of claim. Okay. Then subrogation, principle of subrogation. So under this, the insurance company steps into the shoes of insured after the payment of claim for loss. Or in other words, you can say the insurer, he gets all those rights in the property against third parties which the insured was having before loss. For example, insurance company insures a car and the car gets fully damaged, and if the insurance company gives full claim, then it becomes the owner of the damaged car. That will belong, the property will belong to whom now? The insurance company, if it has paid the full claim. Got it? And then the contribution. So if a person gets two or more insurance policy for the same property from different company, it is called double insurance. For the same thing, he is taking two insurance. So that is double insurance. It doesn't mean that in the event of loss, insured can get the claims from all the companies, from both the companies. So in this case, the actual loss is only paid, and it is paid jointly by both the companies. Okay, let's take an example. Sham, he gets a shop insured from different companies. Like company A gave for 4,000, B gave for 8,000, and C gave for 4,000. And then the loss was of 3,000. Claim was of 4,000, 8,000, and 4,000, and then the loss was of 3,000. So what will be the ratio? The ratio will be 1:2:1. It will be, the loss will be shared by all the three companies together. And then mitigation of losses. It means that the insured, he should make every effort to minimize the losses in the event of occurrence of accident. He should take all those actions which he could take, which he would have taken had the goods had not been insured. Okay, so this is to make it sure that the insured should not take it lightly as the goods are insured.